think it's time to start a study session. Summer, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Blevins?
Here.
Commissioner Norwood?
Here.
Commissioner Siragusa?
Here.
Commissioner Roberts? Here. Commissioner Stallings?
Here.
Commissioner Orr?
Here.
And Mayor Mason.
Here. Item number 2, at the Commissioner's request, discuss any item of concern on the regular session agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about or discuss? Okay. Study item number 3, 3.1, update on the movie theater project. Pretty excited about this tonight, and I think Gerald, you and John Blankenship are going to take this one.
Yeah, I'm pleased to talk about this. It's an update and also a discussion of where we're at, timeline, next steps. And so it's an effort to keep you guys informed and also the public, who I think is hopefully very excited. So let's go ahead and get started. The movie theater project with Stetson Snell and his company, which he has created a company called Enid Icon Cinemas, LLC. Oh, I got the slide deal. All right. We've been working on this project probably for a couple of years, and a whole lot of folks from the city, from ERDA, the chamber, commissioners have been involved for a while. We think we've got it close here, so we just want to go through some of these slides and try to answer questions for you now in hopes of taking some next steps here at a subsequent meeting sometime. Quality of life is one of the issues that we've talked about in previous study sessions. One of the things about quality of life is trying to attract workforce, and trying to attract the businesses and the advanced personnel that come here. And so we need a movie theater. Obviously, all of us know that. You can see the other notes on there. We certainly need this to attract people to live, work, and play, as we say, and need a solution. Whoop, that's the wrong way. All right, so I talked a little bit about the background, Stetson Snell. Some of you have met Stetson Snell. He's been in town several times. I think he was here around the original inaugural One celebration downtown. I believe he was at the Grand National last year, and several of you gotten to meet him over that time as we've worked on this project. The project has gone through several iterations, and I probably don't need to get into all that unless I need to answer questions, but where it's at, so I've said it's matured into a 53,892 square foot, 9-theater complex that includes, one of those 9 theaters is supposed to be a large, he calls it an iconic screen, so I envision it's bigger, it's like a IMAX. I envision 11 lanes of duck pin bowling, virtual reality, arcades, concessions, a bar. Seats approximately 982 folks and 358 parking spots. The site location you're well aware of, we've talked about before. I don't think it's a secret that the location on Garland, south of the Walmart, right next to the new advanced soccer park, is the proposed new location. It's about a 13-acre site, and part of this we'll talk about some more. There's some out parcels in that, and that was one of the key things that we'll be excited to talk about that we'll say we have a first position on. A little bit about Stetson. He's got 6 locations, and certainly in the slideshow, and we'll do it here in just a second, but Colorado Springs, Albuquerque, Oklahoma City, Edmond, San Angelo. I haven't been to any of those, but I know some people that have. Edmond I'm familiar with, I believe was the old Kicking Bird Theater that he's renovated. Could you go ahead and click on that link? I sure hope it works. It's kind of dangerous, but that should pull up the website, so if any of you are interested in looking at that, or the public looking at that, it asks for a location. I think if you click off of that, yeah, you click on any location you want. So you can see those, it pulls up screens. So you would see his marketing materials. This would be some of the marketing materials he would likely have for our facility here in Enid. It appears that to me we'd be the 7th location in his company. And if we go ahead and go back to the slideshow for me. I want to show the site plan. This was the latest site plan that has been turned in. I believe it is potentially the final site plan. The city's approved that. That was around October of 22. There's a tentative address assigned to it, 918 South Garland. It's hard to see. Hopefully you've got it on your iPads if you want to see it too. On the screens, if you look at your iPad, you can see the out parcels in front. Is this also done?
Do what?
Which button is the laser?
The top.
Top. Oh, okay. Right here is the two out parcels. Right here is Garland. You can see the theater fronts, Garland, and if you count the screens, you'll see 9. You'll see the big screen right here is the iconic screen. And the stuff in the center is where he has the arcade, the VR, the duck pin bowling stuff. Here's a couple views. I think you guys have seen before, renderings of what the facility would look like from the outside. A couple different views. He was highlighting a day view and a night view with some lighting. I didn't really know what duck pin bowling was, but there's a great graphic. You can see regular, I call it regular bowling, 10 pin on the right side. As you look at it, duck pin's a smaller ball. And I hadn't heard of candle pin either, but it's apparently even a smaller ball. A couple other pictures to kind of see it. To me, I envision something that's bigger than like skee ball, but I'm sure it's way more than that, and it's apparently loads of fun, especially for kids and families. And adults. There's a picture of adults in a facility. I don't think this is his facility, but they're playing duck pin bowling. You can see a bar in the background, so you can get an idea what the interior would look like. Again, there's a better shot of the, you can see 4 theaters, the big theater, 4 more over here. You can see all that center stuff. Again, seating for approximately 982 movie theater patrons. John, I think you were going to transition, you were going to talk a little bit.
I get project risk. Y'all doing okay? Well, let's talk a little bit about the risk of the project. Many of you have already been through enough meetings to know that there is definitely risk to this venture. There's no getting past it. Here's what some of them include. Rising construction costs. We've seen that this project increase dramatically in the year and a half or so that the city's been working on it. Don't need to tell any of you that we've got rising interest rates. The movie industry itself, what's that going to look like in 10 years? What's it going to look like in 30 years? What impact will streaming have on it? Will it be a bigger impact? And you can even throw in things right now like the writers and actors strike. In my view, is this the, okay. In my view, there is still bigger risk for Enid. In my opinion, doing nothing is a bigger risk. Here's why. I'm talking about lost and major entertainment sales leakage. And when I say that, we're not talking about just theater. You're talking about retail sales and restaurants. We've all been guilty of it. You can go down to Oklahoma City, go to the movie, maybe Tulsa. If you're down there long enough, you're going to eat lunch, you're going to eat dinner. You got to do recreational shopping, and then you're going to fill your car up when you drive home. And so that's what we're up against. So, what is the leakage that we're getting right now? It's hard to quantify it, but I will tell you that according to Ricky Hayes, our retail consultant for Enid, that if you take the 20-mile radius around Enid, the consumers in last year on entertainment-related activity. And that 20-mile radius includes 66,000 people. That works out to be about $275 per household per month. If all of you realize, I'm sure, that our trade area is more like 100,000 people. So if you extend those numbers out, we'll do that here on this next slide. If you extend those numbers out, you'll find that turns into about $125 million that would be spent and should be spent by a market size of 100,000 people, $125 million. We know we have substantial leakage. It's hard to quantify how much it is. Some of it we're not going to be able to do a thing about. People going to Thunder games, going to OSU games, going to OU games. That's going to continue. But we are in a position to do something about a major drawing power asset, which is a theater. If Enid could recover just 20% of that $125 million, we're talking about $25 million. Again, not just theater sales, theater, shopping, and restaurant. And you take that and consider that you have a 4.25% sales tax rate, that's $1 million a year. So another way to put that is that if you look at what Enid is offering here on a $2 million cash incentive for construction and a $1.8 million loan, if you were able to capture $25 million in that leakage, you could pay for the construction and the $1 million and the $1.8 million loan in 4 years. Pretty good return on investment. This slide's in here just to reinforce the fact that we have a captive audience for the theater market. Yes, we have a theater 38 miles away in Fairview and 41 miles in Kingfisher. What is that link, Gerald? I don't remember what that's for.
It's, the link shows just distances to other theaters. Pull it up and not pull it up.
Okay. You want to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to pull it up from the thing. Just go ahead and click Enid. Should just close it. Yeah. Now if you scroll down, you can see this just is a website. I guess the movie theater developers or people of interest can look at. You can see the closest. They still show the mall. There, of course, the mall is not operational, but you see the theater in Fairview, Kingfisher, Guthrie, Stillwater, Ponca. But then you start getting to the metro area. So you can see there's a lot of distance to get to one of those places. And those smaller communities that were even 38, 40 miles away are non-comparable to this city. Okay.
I have one more. I'll break from the script a little bit. I know that we looked at several of Stetson, the developers, Stetson Snell's theater projects, and we kind of concluded that Colorado Springs, believe it or not, is the most similar. Yeah, I know it's got 500,000 people, and Enid has a trade area of 100,000, but they will tell you that that theater, they really consider that trade area 82,000. They're cut off to the south. They're marketing in northern Colorado Springs. So it's pretty comparable to our trade area. We got their sales for half of a year, doubled it, and it's going to end up being about $4.7 million in retail sales this year. If you've looked at the spreadsheets on this, you know that the projection on this is about $5.3 million. And I would add that this is going to be their first facility to have all these multiple revenue sources. So we feel good about their sales projections. Thank you. I'd be happy to entertain any questions. Okay, appreciate it.
There's a few more slides we'll go through, and I'm sure there'll be some questions that we'll definitely want to try and answer. This project cost breakdown, probably better for you to look at your iPad, or maybe you can see it up on the screen. It says in the lower right-hand corner, you can see, I don't know if I do this, does it show up? Yeah. You can see the total $23.02 million cost. And you can see how that's broken down in these categories on the left by roughly $17 million in construction cost. You can see land, utilities, soft costs, and you can see the contingencies and the other types of fees involved that roll up to the total project cost. The next slide shows the cash flow that John was referring to. I think we talked about this a little bit before too. You can see in year one, what he was talking about is about $5.6 million. You can see how he's broken down his lines of income, or actually he's got them rolled up as gross income. But you can see the number that John was talking about down here, and you can see what he obviously talks about in the future. I want to talk about the letter of commitment a little bit, the tentative letter of commitment that he has actually sent us back a signed copy of. That we've probably prepared at a future meeting to discuss further and potentially consider for action. On that commitment letter, it talks about the same things we've talked about here, the total project cost, the appraisal. You guys have had an opportunity to see and look at it. The appraisal came in at $24.38 million, and that included total project cost, including the land. And this is just reiterating that what the city's portion of this would be. John touched on it, is a $2 million what's called in the letter of commitment a construction incentive, much like other incentives we've done in the past for other retail-type businesses that we desire to have, like the shopping center where Five Below is now, that used to be a grocery store. What's unique about this package is there's another $1.8 million that's structured as a loan that would be paid back. And the term of that loan is, in the commitment currently, is 10 years at 5% interest. 5% interest, as you know, is obviously, we don't have to be a banker to know that's a subsidized interest rate now. But it's a unique feature in that it helps provide him some of the incentive and capital to get this thing done, and then the city gets paid back over 10 years. So, and that interest, I believe you have a copy of somewhere, actually it's an appraisal of the amortization. It's also in the total cost. There's an amortization table for the Madison One loan at 30 years and for the city's loan at 10 years. And just looking at that, the interest at 5% paid back over 10 years would be $500,000. So if this project moves forward and gets built and he pays it back over the next 10 years, the city would actually return $2.3 million to the city, which would be the principal and interest on that loan. Another very important part of that letter of commitment, that was an effort by the city team with the chamber and ERDA, is to make sure that we get first priority mortgage on the out parcels. Initially, when Stetson became involved, he was looking at a different location. That was a smaller location, about 7 acres in size. And at some point, we deemed that another effort that we're working on with the department store was a better fit for that area. And Stetson moved to the Garland site, which is a bigger site, 13.71 acre site. So on that site, it was always clear that's a bigger site, so there'd be opportunities to do other things. So as part of getting to this point in agreement with Stetson, he understands, and he always understood from the conversations John and I had with him, but his financial consultant in Madison One has informed us that because of the appraisal value, they're fine with allowing the city to have a first priority mortgage on the out parcels. The total size of those out parcels, they're in 2 tracks now on that site plan, about 2 acres in size, so the total's about 4.7 acres. And a lot of this stuff is easy to pull out of the, well, I won't say it's easy, but it's in the summary pages of the appraisal. It'll tell you what all of it was valued at. The next point was restrictions. There's some covenant restrictions that we believe the city would probably want to have there. The primary thing is, first and foremost, we're doing this to generate business, retail business that generates sales tax. Because with sales tax, we can widen roads, we can fill potholes, we can replace water lines. So we're interested in that, and there were a few things that are probably, they're certainly fine things to do, but we don't really think they're the best fit in front of a movie theater complex. So you can see what those things are. Further, one of the concepts that at this point seems to be, has been worked through with Madison One and Charlie Loomis, who is the financial consultant for Stetson. The idea or the prospect of putting the city's funds, if this goes forward, into a local bank, where the local bank would act as the agent, disperse those funds, do all the things that Madison One would do. In fact, they'd have to be in close concert with Madison One as the project would progress, and there would be construction, there would be draw requests according to whatever the standard format is, which on our part would be spelled out more in future documents to get ready for close, presuming that this would move forward at some point. The city felt that that would give us a little more comfort and security having a local bank that was involved, although the bank itself would not be at risk on that, managing our funds. In fact, they would probably not do it for free, unless there is a local bank that would want to do it for free. We all have to live here together, and so we all have a vested interest in filling this entertainment gap. So that was the concept there. On the equipment that we've talked about to a bit, what is in the construction costs is about a $4.5 million investment in FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, which includes movie theater fixtures, the seating, the concessions equipment, all those kind of things. Out of that $4.5 million, part of the equity that Stetson Snell and his company is putting up is $2.8 million of equity that in the letter of commitment anticipates that amount would have to be, the city would have to receive that amount of retail value in that. It'd have to be evidenced by a note. And that part of the funding is outside of the city and really outside of Madison One. That would be provided by his family and evidenced by a note. And the key point is the $2.8 million portion of that 4.5 would not be payable back for 33 years is what it states currently, I believe, in the letter of commitment, which may not be the exact amount. I think their intent was to 30 years after the loan plus 2 years for the possible construction period, but it says 33 years. So that portion of the equity, the city, again, that portion would not be paid back till after the city's loan's paid back and the Madison One loan is paid back. And that would be between Stetson and his family. On the timeline, we have received a signed letter of commitment. We'll certainly talk about this more at a future meeting. I believe you have at least a draft copy, and we'll get you a signed copy as soon as you're ready. Construction is expected per Stetson to take up to 14 months to complete. I just asked him today via text, how long after closing would it be before you got started? He mentioned 2 weeks, so I think I changed it to a month, knowing that things probably take a little bit longer. But the idea is that after it gets started, it would take 14 months. The Madison One has contemplated up to 2 years. It's my understanding in their information, and so has the city. I don't know if I mentioned another aspect of the letter of intent also states that the city would get construction interest during the time period of constructing the facility, just like Madison One does. Currently, a lot of the loan application is already put together to go forward to Madison One, who will work with USDA to get the guarantee. Without the USDA guarantee, Madison One won't make the loan. And so, however, Madison One, it's my understanding through Charlie, who's had the conversations, he's the financial consultant that works for Stetson, is that Madison One feels good about everything. They work with USDA a lot. So anyway, but there are a couple other hurdles that would have to get through even if the city goes forward and approves this letter of commitment. The loan application needs to be completed with the city's commitment letter by September 30th for this deal to move forward. There's also, if you, in the, and certainly we can pull up the letter of commitment if you like. We've got it ready to pull up. But there's a lot of contingencies that Dylan Curran is our external attorney that works with us on development projects. He has drafted. He has certainly been pretty thorough. And there's a whole lot of other loan documents and mortgage agreements and all kinds of things that need to be prepared for closing. Those things are not prepared yet, and there's really no need to prepare them unless we move forward with this letter of commitment. So what would happen between potentially the time of approval of this document and a potential closing is all those documents, Madison One will be getting ready their documents, we would finish up our documents. A closing is anticipated to take several months and probably wouldn't occur before December or January is what we've been advised. In the meantime, we would also want to work on those out parcels that clearly are the first position on the mortgage is given to us. We believe we'll probably need to lot split those out to make that very clear and have 3 parcels that at some point they would still belong to Stetson's company, but he couldn't do anything before he got the approval of the city, and he knows and is clear in the letter of intent, or excuse me, commitment, that any funds from the sale of those out parcels has to go to pay down the city debt. This is an improvement on previous iterations we've talked about, where payments on out parcels would be shared pro rata based on the loan size. The whole 100% of the out parcels would go to pay down the debt, the $1.8 million debt. We've already talked about the local bank stuff. So really, before we get to questions, this is just a very brief summary, and the city's worked, as you have, and a lot of other folks helping us, local folks, local bankers, the chamber, ERDA, and some of the, we think significant improvements have been made to the deal. The project seems to be a reasonable 53,000 square foot size, 10-year loan amortization, paying back the $1.8 million, which over 10 years would really be a payback of 2.3. We've talked about the first priority on the out parcels, and that proceeds from the sale of the out parcels would need to go towards paying down the $1.8 million loan. Madison One has a funding commitment. The folks that were served on the movie theater committee, which included 3 commissioners and a couple of bankers, and I'm probably forgetting Aaron and myself and Scott, I'm probably forgetting somebody else that's been on it, have had access to see a lot of the same documents that Madison One has. Tax returns, all kinds of stuff, projections, and in there is a Madison One commitment letter from sometime, I believe, last month. So we're kind of at the point that we need to answer your questions, because the recommendation is really to consider approval of a letter of intent or a letter of commitment at some future meeting. But before we get to that, it's good to answer questions. John, do you want to have anything else to? You're the closer.
I know you're my numbers person. How's the numbers looking to you?
Good, I'm happy.
Better
with
now?
this. Yes, where we've ended now, I'm more comfortable with than
Okay.
prior versions.
Right, thank you. That's what I need.
More questions? Well, let me say just a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank all the commissioners. I will just say, I'll tell you what, we were working, back when I was Ward 6 Commissioner, we were working on trying to get a movie theater 3 years ago. Worked and worked and worked. It's been a very difficult time to make that happen. City stayed with it. Commissioners stayed with it, even as they changed out. And it has really, really been a busy time trying to get this thing put together. You know how many executive sessions we've had. We've gone around and around and around on these numbers. We kind of decided what the line in the sand was for us. And I feel like he's met those, agreed to those. Mainly the taking of the parcels. A first mortgage, not taken of the parcels, but that really helps secure our position. That's going to be a very good area out in there. I think there will be a lot of business that eventually will want to build. So I want to thank the commissioners. Also want to thank the city staff. I mean, I just can't tell you how many times you turn those numbers up and down and around, and everything we've ever asked, you've been able to put it back together and allow us to review that. And also John Blankenship, thank you. John, you just kind of are quiet sometimes, but you are always in the background. I know you were on many, many of these phone calls with Stetson, and I do appreciate that. We appreciate your counsel through this also. A couple things I want to point out is, number one, I know there will be some questions that come up. Well, why are you subsidizing another bowling alley when we already have one? I hope you could see in that picture, those are 2 different entities, completely different. One is almost like you go to the fair and throw those little balls up there. Local bowling alleys make all their money through league play. And I just don't see any duck bowling leagues coming anytime soon. So those are just 2 different entities that do not play off the same group of people, and I don't think that's going to be an issue. I will also say that 23 years ago, I got, just counting the years, I was involved in a movie theater that we built. I've sat in the bank before and negotiated this, and that banker went over and over. Oh, I don't know how long the movie theater's been around because we have Blockbuster. Well, guess what's here today, and guess what's not? You know? So I think there's always risk with everything that we do, but our job is to continue growth of sales tax. And I think we're doing it right here. So I'm going to encourage everyone when it comes time to vote yes on this, like we've got it. I think we've worked on it, got it as good as we're going to get it. It's not left up to us now. We're sending in a letter of commitment that we'll do what we say we're going to do. But ultimately now he has to finish this financing project. So it's out of our hands. We've done everything that we can. Hope that it works out. And if it does and it comes back then, I think we'll be in a position to take advantage of that. I think it'll help our whole surrounding area. I got a phone call day before yesterday from an elderly woman that told me she was tired of driving to Oklahoma City to the movie theater and when we were going to get that done. I said, ma'am, how old are you? 72 years old. She's driving to Oklahoma City to go to the movie theater. So, you know, there's another person that will buy locally. So that being said, I am going to ask staff to put together a special meeting for 6:30 on Wednesday, Gerald. And that'll be the only item on that. And I hope we don't have a conflict there with anybody. I've kind of roughly mentioned it to you, but I think that will work. And then we will we'll vote on this and then see how it goes. You have a
I'll just say real quick, I believe that we've done our due diligence. We asked Stetson to match the equity that he was bringing to what the city was offering. He did that. He agreed to let us have priority on these out parcels. I feel we've done our job here, and this is a responsible use of taxpayer dollars that is going to improve the quality of life. I mean, everybody I run into who asks me, how's it going on the city council? The first thing I tell them is, well, we're trying to get this movie theater over the finish line, and they're please do that. We need it. Everybody in Enid wants this to happen, so I'm looking forward to next Wednesday.
okay.
I can't be there Wednesday. I could be there Tuesday. I thought that's what we talked about.
Well, we did, but we had another conflict on Tuesday.
I won't be there Wednesday.
Okay. Well,
Mayor, if we can find a time that'd be good for everybody, I think. Is there a time we can find for everybody next week? The only reason I'd like to do it, or that it'd be prudent to do it next week, is just to get the project moving.
Yeah.
So maybe you can see if we can find a time. Our city clerk is right here, so nothing better than if we can nail it down, she'll have notice of what the special meeting is.
Okay.
Or I'm just offering you an option.
Oh,
Tuesday works for me. So.
I'm good any day except for Wednesday after 6. No, Thursday after 6, sorry.
what, if we, just give me just a second. So on Tuesday, could everyone do it like at noon? No. Could anyone do it on Tuesday at 5:30? No. You're out on Tuesday?
Here on Wednesday and Thursday next week. I'll be here Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday. Rob, are you gone completely on Wednesday?
We're gone Thursday afternoon.
Huh?
We're gone Thursday afternoon.
Thursday
mid-afternoon
afternoon.
To the evening.
Okay. But are you,
No, Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday afternoon?
The 13th.
But you, Wednesday morning, could you do that? Or
Sure.
Wednesday at noon?
I could do either. I'm just gonna be gone after about 3.
Wednesday at noon? Wednesday at noon?
Everybody do it anytime. Just let me know when.
How about Wednesday at noon?
Can we make it 1?
1?
Just to make sure.
Till 3 o'clock,
1 o'clock? Everybody good?
Wednesday?
Wednesday. Still Wednesday.
Wednesday, 1 o'clock? Is that what we're hearing?
So it'll be the 13th.
Wednesday.
Thank goodness that's not on a Friday.
Oh,
So-
I just wanted to add one thing with this. I know I've been in it for a while now with the movie theater and with speaking with Stetson up at Grand National Quail Hunt, along with Mary Pankington at the time and whatnot. There was a lot of different agreements, disagreements, and stuff like that. We've hammered down a lot of the things that I had issues with, and it's coming around. The thing I want everybody to understand is we as a city did the best that we can do with him. This is now going to be on Stetson's plate. If he doesn't secure, it is nothing that this commission or the previous commission has done to not make this happen. I want that clear, that citizens of this city know that. This is gonna be on Stetson's plate. If he can't secure it across the finish line, it's on him. It's not on the city, nor is it on this commission.
Okay, if there's nothing else on that, I'm gonna move on to 3.2. Update on the current engineering projects.
Let's talk about something interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Where's that tax money going? This evening, I'm going to go over our current construction projects, the ones that are actually like active construction projects. And so not anything that's in design or anything of that nature. First project that's been in construction for a couple years now is the Chestnut West Detention Facility. This is located over on the north side of Pheasant Run Golf Course. Basically, this is the construction and expansion of a detention that's up there as part of the master plan. Beverage construction is approximately 80% done. The final components are some concrete flumes, some concrete weirs and things of that nature, and that's supposed to be completed later this month. Willow Detention expansion. This is an expansion of the, I refer to it as the old soccer fields. That's over there south of Willow, east of Cleveland Avenue, by the old soccer complex. This expanded, increased the amount of detention that facility will hold, in conjunction with some of the other construction that we've already completed behind Jumbo's and that shopping center there.
And that expansion's to the east, is that what the diagram's showing, I think?
Actually, it's
The west,
to the west, this blue area here.
Yeah.
This is the existing facility here, and then this is where the new facility is.
We will still maintain the old soccer fields for practice in case anybody's...
Absolutely, yeah. Nothing out there of the existing has changed. We installed some storm pipes underneath, but it doesn't affect anything there. This project's about 99% complete. Waiting on a few riprap items and things of that nature to get completed, and then we'll be wrapping that up. 1500 Norman Road. This is the replacement of a, I think there's two or three corrugated metal pipes that go underneath Norman Road here, and we'll replace it with a box culvert. Construction got kicked off about a month ago, and then some of the utility relocates took longer than we anticipated, so it's kind of been paused for just a little bit. Haskell Lemon is the one doing that, and construction's supposed to be picked back up probably in 60 days in that.
Is that going to extend the date of completion? 'Cause I think we had it right before Christmas.
Right, yep.
Probably New Year's.
It'll probably extend it out probably, I would guess, in the 30 day range probably, depending on something coming up, which I'll talk about here in just a little bit. Woodlands drainage. This is a drainage project between Woodlands and, oh man, the neighborhood just slipped my mind. This neighborhood, help me, Raleigh. Willow West. Luckenbill Development has a project, and it just kicked off last week, and so it'll take them probably 30 to 40 days to complete that project. Soccer complex street improvements. This is the larger of the projects for the concrete out there. This was the project that included all the parking and all the driveways. The contractor is completed. We have done final walkthroughs, and we have a punch list for them to complete. When they got substantially completed, they went to work on another project and will return. They're supposed to be returning next week to complete their punch list, and so that project will be wrapped up here hopefully within the next month. North 5th Street, East Randolph to East Broadway. We just did the walkthrough this morning for this project, the final walkthrough. So he has one little small punch item to complete, and then we'll be doing our ribbon cutting and things of that nature for that project. So that project's basically wrapped up. East Birch, between 1,600 and 2,300 blocks. This project is also about 99% complete. Everything is done as far as the contract goes, and we have a handful of punch list items to wrap up. They're supposed to be getting a few items in over the next couple of weeks to finish that project. 100 to 1,000 block of West Elm Avenue. This is our big local street project for last year. It's about 95% complete. He's down to about the last block of sidewalks and cleanup. And so I had another picture I wanted to put on here. I didn't get it on here. I apologize. But one of the features that was included on this project was adding a drop-off lane in front of the school here. And project's not even done, and I've already gotten compliments and things like that of how much that helps with traffic in that area. So I'm proud of that small little project there. They should be done.
And they made it past school before school started.
That's right, yeah. Yep, they did. I told them they had to.
This ribbon cutting is also going to be interesting and unique, I think. Scott, we have something special.
We're going to strike up the band. We're going to hopefully have the Emerson band out there to help us celebrate the ribbon cutting and get some student participation, maybe a pep rally. So we've already began some talks with the school system, and they're excited about this project, and they definitely want to be a part of the celebration.
Happy to do it.
Emerson just celebrated 100 years also, so that's good.
Cool. The signal poles for the Garriott and Independence, they're standing and upright and functioning fully. I believe they lack a little bit of components to get hooked up for the pedestrian crossings and things of that nature. Upcoming after this project, we'll also be doing the sidewalk replacement associated with this intersection. So. Randolph Waterline Project from Van Buren to Washington. They are probably more closer to 99% now this week. They just lack a few tie-ins of some services and some sod and cement, things like that to wrap up. And so they'll be done with that project hopefully in the next few weeks. We'll wait on the roadway to do a ribbon cutting for this project. Contractors on that project, since they're wrapping up on that one, they went in and kicked off this next project, which is the 700 to 1,600 blocks of East Oklahoma Avenue waterline. Southwest Waterworks, they just began. They've been currently installing all the long services down through along the street ahead of the actual installation of the new water line. Leona Mitchell Boulevard, water main and improvements. This project is is on its last leg. It's almost, we almost got it whooped. We lack about, this is gonna sound big and scary, but it's not that big a deal. We lack about 100 water meters to install, 100 to 150. We're working through that list currently, and once the water meters are installed, the project will be complete.
Yeah, I just want to take the opportunity again. I know probably every commissioner up here remembers some ladies from Southern Heights that came to see us, probably not quite 2 years ago, I think around, I'm going to say February, March timeframe, and showed us some water full of sediments and stuff. And so I'm very proud of the accomplishments of the city staff and with your direction to get this done and to go out and get, we got this part of a loan, right, Aaron? So did we have to pay for all of this? Wow. How much did we get for free?
$1 million.
Wow. Good job. So I just want to bring that up again. I'm sure we
that
need to have
goes-
an appropriate.
It also goes with the slide before, because that's the other part of the
Yes.
loan that we got from the water board, is that project. So this is a twofold project, threefold project, actually.
Yeah.
How were we able to qualify for a grant on that?
Well, Aaron, why don't you tell us?
Right, so OWRB had, actually ODEQ, had some funding available, and so we put in a request for the water line improvements that we needed to do, and it was forgivable up to 25% of what you put in, up to $1 million. So we did a $4 million loan, and we'll have $3 million of repayment on that loan.
Okay. Was this based on the quality of the water was so bad that there's?
No, it had to do with flows and improving the infrastructure overall, and so any place that needed improvements within the city would have qualified for that.
Water quality, fire flows, things of that nature for the neighborhoods. Yeah.
And Chief, on the flow tests, what two areas were the worst?
That area is definitely was one of the worst ones in town. If you drive through neighborhoods and see a lot of red hydrants, that's a good indication that their water systems are old and worn out and filled with sediment and need to be replaced. So that is going to be a tremendous help to us in protecting that part of town, and I'm sure they're enjoying more water in their shower and in the kitchen as well.
Continuing on water lines, the 10th Street water line relocation between Broadway and Chestnut kicked off about 2 weeks ago. They've started trenching in and laying the 10-inch pipe along Cleveland. Golly, I'm all messed up now. 10-inch pipe along 10th Street. Jackson Civil is a contractor on that project, and they're getting into it, a couple blocks so far. So this is we refer to this as our sewer point repair program, inflow and infiltration sanitary sewer point repair projects. This project is citywide, and it's multi-year, and it spans multi-year. The current project began in 2020. They've redone 214 total point repairs in that 3.5 year time frame, and with the last couple projects, the next two projects I'm actually going to speak on, they'll be wrapping up the contract for that. As part of the I&I, which it was over on Willow and Van Buren, that service road over there, there was a split, the best way I can describe it is a split manhole. It split down the side, required, it was very, very deep, about 15 foot deep, required a big hole, water pumping, getting the groundwater out of there in the whole 9 yards. And so they've got that project completed. It's I have 90% on here. They're actually done with it, and it's opened back up. The other project that was actually put on hold because of the previous project is at 2nd and Ash. This is a segment of pipe that broke just adjacent to that small bridge that's right there. Another one that's very deep. You can see the required trench boxes. And if you've been in the area, I'm sure you've seen or heard the wells that running down there to pump the groundwater out so that they can actually do the repair. If you've driven by there lately now, the holes are filled and they're back and everything's back, and they're going to be completing the concrete over the next few days. I think I have the 90% complete flip-flopped on those. I apologize. The water reclamation facility, the sewer plant. We had a handful of structural issues that were needed addressed out there. Currently, we are waiting on a handful of staircases that need to be replaced. Those are on order. We're just waiting to get them here. Once those are done, this project will be completed. 54th Street lift station upgrade. I need to have, well, I guess I got it right there. This is a phase 1 portion of that project. This would be a multi-year, multi-phase project that's improving the capacity and the ability of the 54th Street lift station. This is a lift station that handles everything. So basically from Market Avenue north. So we're talking about the Tyson plants, Mid-America, some of the larger facilities that we have in town. And so these handle a lot of large flows, a lot of large influxes, and so our improvements there are increasing the capacities and abilities of that lift station. This phase 1 is complete. Phase 2 is currently underway. Phase 2 is mostly electrical panel kind of thing, so it's really not that exciting. A lot of things won't change out there. It'll look the same, but it'll help the quality and the functionality of the lift station. Advanced soccer complex. This is a flat work portion of it, which is the interior portion with inside of the actual facility. We mid construction, we had to switch contractors for the project. We made a switch, and we got it wrapped up. 99%. He's basically all the way done. Has a handful of punch list items to take care of to wrap that project up. Fire Station 1 roof, another project that's about 99% complete. We are missing a punch list, final punch list, and final walkthrough of the project. I was unaware, I'm going to throw it out there so Chief hears it, of some of the leaks that were happening. And so we have got those fixed, and the contractor's got those things lined out. So moving forward, waiting on the architect to do the final walkthrough.
There were leaks after the roof was put on? Okay.
I'm guessing some joints weren't sealed properly or something like that, so.
Yeah, I don't know that it was specifically errors made in replacing the roof so much as that building went through a major transformation to go from a medical facility to a fire station. So there's a lot of plumbing vents, a lot of things in the roof structure that they had to work around. The air handling systems on the roof. So there's a lot of flashing and fixtures on the roof that they had to work around. So some of the rains that we got with 30-mile-an-hour winds and things like that, water was finding its way through. Once we kind of figured out where the leaks actually were and notified them, they jumped right on it. They've been really good to us and really trying to fix the problem. So it's not a lack of effort, anything like that. It's just working through the issues and making sure and getting it all buttoned up. So everything's going well, just taking some time. And since we didn't have any rains for a little while, sometimes things don't show up for a while. So
Yeah.
we're good.
Okay.
Cockdale Drive and Adolpha Circle. This is a project that just got kicked off. I've spoken with the contractor to get the work done. It was kind of I don't want to say it's an emergency or anything like that, but it's a project that kind of sprung up on us. We weren't really planning on it. We have some funding available from a leftover project that we can use to wrap this project, take care of this project. Main Avenue. This was passed to me from Public Works. I think they were a little more than they can handle, but it's not as bad as what we thought it was. So after inspection, we found out basically it was just the asphalt was broken. And so the project should be wrapped up hopefully by midweek next week. The contractor is going to pour concrete tomorrow, so that'll get taken care of. Eisenhower Bridge, I mentioned earlier that about Norman Road, that's on pause. This is where that contractor is going to go to, is to fix this project. We spoke on it, you know, obviously, once we were notified, we shut the bridge down. The project's going to basically, we had some testing done on the structure and kind of went through the ins and outs of what the design would be for the replacement. And so once I shouldn't say replacement, the reconstruction may be a better word. We're going to put a new deck on and new walls for the project. And so the contractor's notice to proceed is September 10th. And we've given him approximately 60 days to complete the project. So,
Did we decide that that's only going to take a deck?
yes, sir.
I know last time we were, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes. So we're going to do a little additional work on the walls, just so that it's a little more, it improves the actual structure, improves the actual construction, makes it easier for the contractor to actually do the work in a better way. So, so there is additional work, not just the deck that's going to be replaced, but,
Right. Okay.
but yeah.
What's the approximate cost, Jason?
I'm sorry.
Approximate cost to do that repair on that bridge?
What was our preliminary estimate was 250 or 300?
I think we are using the unit price established on the Norman Road. So based on the units, we are looking around 300,000.
Around how much?
300,000.
800,000?
300,000.
300.
Which I think is phenomenal, because we were looking at million plus, 2 million if we had to rebuild everything. So it was really good news that most of the walls seem to be structurally sound. So, and I appreciate the efforts to get this done quickly when we shut it down. So, and finding a way to do it with the change order.
One thing on this project is nice is the flow lines are fixed, since the channel on the east side is a concrete channel. So basically the bottom of the bridge is where the bottom of the bridge is going to be. So it's basically replacing what's above that bottom. So
Jason, could you go back one slide, the Cogdale, or two slides, I guess?
Mhm.
What is the cause of this one? What happened out there?
I think it looked like we got some water in between, basically underneath the concrete, and from where it's supposed to be in between the concrete and the gravel layer.
Yeah.
I can't pinpoint anything. From the times I've been out there, I couldn't find really anything that happened. I'm assuming probably just maybe some expansion joints that probably opened up and they got water underneath it. We inspected all of the storm pipes and things of that nature, and all of the storm pipes are good. So we haven't lost anything as far as structurally goes with the stormwater system. But so I know that's kind of a
Yeah.
it's not really a good answer, but it's
Right.
I can't really
I
tell
think
you.
the email said about 4 months. We think that T should be closed, maybe longer.
Oh, no, I would not expect 4 months. I
Okay.
60 days, 2 months. I mean, Raleigh, that's probably being really conservative.
That assessment was before we inspect the storm sewers. Since we inspected the storm sewers, we are not going to replace any of the storm sewers. That's the reason the time span is shortened down.
Okay. Good to
So
know.
more good news, it'll be done
Yeah.
faster than expected.
Yeah.
I know the residents in that area will be appreciative that it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately, most of it's cosmetic, so I'm happy with that. So we got, there's some inlets and things like that that are broken at the surface, but I mean, structurally, everything beyond that is fine. Randolph Culvert, this is a project that we've been working on the last couple of months. We're finalizing the plans, and once the plans are done on this one, we're going to kick this off real quick into construction. I didn't have a picture of what the issue is, but basically the culvert that's underneath Randolph, the bottom of the culvert's rusted out and gone. So
Where's the location? Oh, that's over by the nursing home over there, right?
yeah, this is the Arbors. I can't think of the street over here.
Roseanne.
Roseanne, there you go. But we're gonna replace that culvert. A lot of flow goes through there, and so we're working on getting the right situation there. Cleveland street widening. I feel like I've talked about this one forever, and I'm ready for it to kick off, which is gonna happen in November. It's going to bid in November through the ODOT system. Right-of-way's complete, utilities are complete, design's complete. Y'all signed the ODOT agreement, and so we spoke with Mr. Vanaken with the ODOT local government, and this morning, and it will be released to bid in November. So
That's an expensive project. I think we put up, is it $3 million or something like that from the city?
4.5.
4.5.
yeah, I believe it's is that the amount right there that we? Yeah.
With the railroad portion too.
Yep, for total for all.
Which, I guess we had $3 million in the budget, right? So,
What's the time estimate to get that project done?
We don't know yet, since it's not with a contractor. Hasn't been awarded to somebody yet, so.
Okay.
um,
And they're gonna try to keep one lane open, is that what I've heard?
There's there's two situations when we won't be able to do that, and that's when the box goes across Cleveland, and then when they do the railroad work.
Yeah.
Other than those two situations, yes, it will be open at least a minimum one lane at all times.
do we already have another railroad does it when they want to, but we had them on notice already about their piece, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yep. And that's kind of separate, it's with ODOT, but separate from ODOT type of thing, and so, but the funding's all there for them and ready to go, so whenever they get kicked off, they're ready to go. I did notice there's that damaged guardrail that they haven't fixed yet, so I'm hoping that's a sign.
That's been
I'm
there a
hoping
while.
that's a sign that they're ready to move on their work, so.
Been damaged for quite a while.
Has it? Okay. Another one of our large ODOT projects is the Garland Road widening. Right-of-way acquisition, we're down to one property left to acquire. Once, well, I say once, they're done now. Southwest Waterworks has got the water line out of the way, and all other utilities have been moved. And design is at 95% complete, which through some situations, McClellan Consulting is wrapping that up, and they'll be having that to us fairly soon, I would think. I thought it was supposed to be the end of last month, but we haven't received it yet.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, this probably is going to be very expensive, right? Do we have any idea? Can you give me a range? Can you give Aaron a range so we can find funds?
I think once we receive the bids on Cleveland, we will know for sure
Okay.
how much it's going to be, because this is almost similar to that same project. I think the cost of construction is going high and high. I don't want to throw a number.
Okay, gotcha.
We've got the movie theater coming too, so now we're gonna have to focus on south of Garland, or south of OMK on Garland too, so.
Right. I think like after completion of the intersection Randolph and Garland, then we'll go south. It improves the whole traffic flow.
Is this one all on us, or is ODOT taking any of this?
I think it's mostly going to be on us, isn't it, Molly?
This project is designed, and we can still move forward with ODOT, or we can take over. So depend upon the funding availability, so we can do either options.
We've got an option of doing either?
Yeah.
Well, we let them pay for a part of it. That's not part of the option?
Well, you're talking about ODOT can engineer it for us?
No.
Or bid it for us, or we could just,
I think this is typical to Cleveland project.
Okay.
So we already paid for the design, utility relocation, and also the property acquisition. So it's all been done. So the next step is going to be the ODOT. So it's like a ODOT pays $1 million towards the construction cost.
Okay. Okay, I'm all right.
So
Comes undone underneath there. Okay,
Thank you, Marla.
thanks.
And then lastly, which is not really like, not really a Enid, a city project, but within city limits, so I guess it is the ODOT Willow Road project, Willow Road and 30th Street projects. Phase 1, they're nearly complete, which was between 4th and 10th. It was just a couple lane closures in the 4-lane section. Phase 2, which is between 10th and 16th, the work's going to require them to shut it down to 1 lane. And on September 18th, it'll be a one-way eastbound for traffic only. And then Phase 3 is 16th to 30th, which is that section out there. There's really not a whole lot out there, which leads to them, basically, it's going to be closed in that section. So, and then once they go on beyond, turn south and go down 30th, that'll, it's just a mill and overlay portion of it, and so it'll be open throughout the construction. Any questions? Anything I missed? Okay. One thing I did miss, something I wrote down, I missed it for myself, I wanted to throw out there. Currently, we have 28 active construction projects, half are in the final phases. Projects that we have ready to go is the 54th Street reconstruction, which is the Tyson, Renew Energy project out there. It's going to kick off beginning in November. 10th Street roadway construction, it's going to begin in October. Meadows Channel construction is going to begin in October. And then I mentioned earlier in passing the sidewalks at the intersection of Garriott and Independence. Once the signal crews are out of the way, they're going to start their sidewalk repairs at that intersection. So.
Are we also in design, maybe you said it already, are we in design on 66 from north of Willow to Breckenridge?
Yep, I'm in the final phases of utility clearance on that project, and then it'll be going to bid. Got a couple of gas lines to double check that they're not going to be in our way and not going to slow us up. So, but it's a set and on go. Okay.
Do we still have our eyes on our walking trail? It's something that Commissioner Stallings had brought up a few months back. How are we looking at, are we designing anything, or is that something in our future?
We have a handful, maybe not a handful, 2 projects that are with some grant. We're looking at getting some grant funding for the projects. Apologize, I'm totally blank on the project.
Yeah, Prairie View.
Yes, I'm sorry, there you go. Yeah, Prairie View, we're looking at, do we have a grant with that one? So we have a grant with that project. And so that's Prairie View. So basically along Willow from the school over to Oakwood. And then we have another project that I think it's still up in the air on whether we're getting funding, but a portion of trail that's going to be in Government Springs South. It's still with the funding source. I can't think of is that one ODOT? I apologize. It slipped my mind, but I believe that one's with ODOT with the TAP program.
Isn't there also a trail with the Cleveland extension up to Willow?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
and
yeah.
that
So-
hopefully will go across the railroad tracks, right?
Yes.
Connect with,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there are some projects, and potentially we can tie in some of those together. I know we also have the connection to Vance, don't we, designed? We
Yes,
just need to
it
find
is
the funding.
designed, yeah.
Yeah, that one's designed, and we did not get funding for that one. So.
Is any of that trail going to go through downtown, like off of Grand Street, going north? Is that part of any of the trail? I know they put the bike markings and everything up, but I remember when Commissioner Benny Zell was on the commission, he had spoke a lot about that. Is that something that we're still planning?
So it's been kind of our intention of of this upcoming year, we actually have a Grand, is that Grand Street, Grand Avenue reconstruction project from Garriott to Maine. And so as part of that project, we would redo the sidewalks in that portion and get them to trail quality things, standard.
Not exactly, I think, what you're asking. We did do an interim step using the crosswalk that's out in front of the building here, and we connected a sidewalk past the fire station to downtown. And with what Jason's telling you, it probably wouldn't take much with that nice sidewalk on State Street that goes all the way to Grand to connect that piece
Right.
on those nice new signals and pedestrian walks, get people across the street. So
There you
I
go.
think that kind of.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would really
connection,
work.
that connection is all there, and I think it's just with some minor improvements, especially with the new signals and things like that, that really increases the safety at that intersection. So.
Because I remember, ODOT's coming in and the $34.7 million 7-year deal that they're going to do. I know they're going to redo all of that, and I get that, but I was just wanting to make sure that we don't forget about going through downtown through that walkway that you had mentioned coming right out here.
Absolutely, and I think we can, with what's going on, it probably, I'm going to jump out there and say it probably doesn't cost that much, $1 million here, $1 million there. Oh, that's a joke, bad joke. But this one block stretch to get us connected probably isn't going to be that much. Just to manage your expectations though on ODOT and the project, you've had some meetings, you might tell people what you're hearing from ODOT when they go from Garland to wherever they're going to, Leona Mitchell or where.
Yeah, the majority of that 35 million or whatever it is, 37 million, is going to be focused on the road. So they're going to do the project in phases of where the construction is going to the way to think of it is a center line out. They'll do the improvements to the road, and however much more money they got left, they'll do improvements to the side, or kind of to the curbs and gutter, and kind of just step their way out. So if at the current pace with the construction costs and things of that nature, it's going to be hard for them to guarantee that any kind of sidewalks or anything improvements would be, happening along with that project.
Because I know that, they're going to do 30th because right now existing, all of that is in concrete. Some of that is asphalt. Are they going to do all of it in concrete? Do you all know, or is it going to be?
So basically the section that's from 30th west, so 4th to 30th, that's all concrete. And so that is actually a panel repair where they're actually going in there where there's bad panels and they're replacing those panels. And then once you get on the 30th Street and go south from Willow to
412
or
yeah.
Market, I guess.
Randolph
Yeah.
Market, yeah.
Once you get down there, that is all asphalt, and that's just going to be a mill and overlay project. So they're going to come in and mill the majority, mill the top portion of the asphalt off and lay down new asphalt.
Okay.
One thing I was very excited to hear from them when I spoke with them is the railroad has given them clearance to basically fix right up to the panels, to the railroad panels. And so some of those really rough areas that are in that area should be taken care of with this project. So.
Yeah, because I would like to see, not trying
Every
to.
single crossing on
Yes.
30th.
I'm speaking real fast because I know 6:15, but I would like to make sure with the university bringing in the soccer and everything, and us making discussions about improving possibly the baseball facilities and all that stuff, that we have walking trails and things like that around that area for those individuals, the students that are coming in from out of town into Enid, for quality of life and growth for the city. I mean, I think that's very important, vision-wise, that we accommodate those students with being able to ride their bikes, skateboards, whatever they do, so let's just keep that in mind. It's very important.
All right, thank you, Jason, appreciate it. Item 3.3, update on recent street striping efforts.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Gerald, Scott. Are we ready?
All right. I'm Mike Williams. I'm with Tech Services, and part of our responsibility at Tech Services is putting the yellow and white paint on our streets. Here we go. I want to introduce you to the truck that we have that we do this with. This is a fairly new truck. It's an Isuzu cab and chassis, and with a big paint gun strapped to the back of it. And with this truck, we can use the guide wheel out front, and we can stay on point, running a straight line, and keeping it straight and run about 5 miles an hour, and put down the yellow paint in the center and the white paint on the sides, and then of course the dashes along the way. In the back of the truck, we have 2 seats. We have a seat on the left, a seat on the right, and each one has its own control. There's a steering wheel there that basically controls the carriage that's underneath the truck to where they can move it in and out. And they have a control panel. The control panel's on the left, the steering wheel's on the right, and then the carriage is the picture on the right, where they can control not only the movement of the paint, if they need to adjust as the road turns or makes a change, they can also adjust whether or not they're going to make dashes or they're going to do a double stripe or a single stripe. Year to date, the combined total mileage that we've done is about 178 line miles, or 940,000 feet of paint. And that's a lot of paint. This is all with just one pass in all of our arterials in our downtown area. We've used approximately 3,000 gallons to date. And as the paint's being used, we also apply a thin layer of retroreflective glass beads. These beads help reflect the lights at night during the rain, or it just, of course, in darkness. It's a waterborne, low-temperature paint. It's fast drying. It's acrylic. It's made for traffic. It performs very well on either asphalt or concrete. It's available in a variety of sizes. We choose to buy it in 250-gallon totes. A white tote is costing us about $2,465. A yellow tote, $2,665. This is on state contract. When we apply the glass beads, it does speed up the dry time. The dry time is about 2 minutes, a lot of times less than that if we can get our temperatures up in the 90s. Of course, we've got 2 fellows on the back of the truck back there cooking in the heat during those times, but the dry times can be as low as 60 to 90 seconds. So again, the speed makes a difference. If we're going faster, it's a thinner application. If we're going slower, it's thicker, it takes more time. And it's like it says, this 1 gallon yields about 320 feet of a 4-inch wide stripe. This is Breckenridge Road that we paint. We painted it from 16th all the way out to 78th. We actually got this job done without a single person driving in the yellow or the white paint. It turned out really nice. We took 2 trailing shadow vehicles to do that, to allow enough gap in space in between for the paint to dry, so that if they did drive on it wouldn't hurt it. So every day since early June, when the weather is right, we've got a crew of 4 guys out there painting in a pattern, if you will. Our early morning crew, they sit up there and it takes them about an hour to prepare everything and get it going. They got to load the paint, and they got to load the beads. They got to get the paint stirred and mixed, and that has to go on for a while. We start with our downtown area, and we paint basically the grid downtown. We move from there to our arterials doing the east-west. We start with Willow, which we're doing this week, and then we work from, we go down south and we work to Southgate, and we work our way north on all the east-west streets. Then we move out doing our north-south arterials. We move out to Garland, and we work our way back to the east all the way out to 66th. Once each arterial is complete, we'll go back and we'll fill in the diagonals on the turns, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And after all that's done, we repeat the process, and we add a second coat to all of these streets. After all that's done, we can move on to our parking lots, our crosswalks. We can also add our straight arrows, our turn arrows, and as time allows, try to get that done. The trick is we only have so much, summer months, so much time where we have the perfect weather. The humidity plays a part, so we have to really press to get the paint down before we can go to some of these other projects. Here's an example of us painting the diagonals. We actually have to use a hand wand, and we put those on with a gun on wheels so that we're getting the right width, and we actually add the beads by by hand. That's what he has in that bucket there. There's a few concerns when it comes to doing the work that we have. We are a moving work zone, and there's some violations that are going on. Motorists are passing the convoy, and they're putting our crew at risk. In this particular picture here, we had a motorist that insisted on getting between the shadow trucks and the paint truck, so basically leapfrogged us until he got where he wanted to go. And it's not good to do that, because it not only puts us at risk, but it puts oncoming traffic at risk. We have motorists passing on the right. They'll actually pass us in the ditch. Roop is a good example of that. They'll do that, and they'll pass a dozen cars at a time. They'll just pass the whole thing with debris flying and the whole 9 yards. They'll also drive in the paint. They'll be trying to take a look around to see what's going on, and unknowingly, their left tires are in the paint, smearing the paint, crushing the beads down into the paint so it's no longer reflective. There's a follow him syndrome, if you will. Whenever a motorist passes us, then the next one will say, well, if he can go, I can go. And then all of a sudden, we've got 6, 7, 8, 10 cars driving through the paint. If you go up on Purdue, there's a good example. All up and down Purdue, there's yellow paint that's just smeared everywhere because of that. So we discourage that. We do ask the EPD to help us out, and whenever they can, they do. They jump in line. They've actually cited some folks. Some of them got multiple citations. I understand that the moving work zone fine doubles thing is not an ordinance here, but they're working on that, so hopefully that thing will pick up. And I do press releases as soon as I know what's going on. I do want to thank the guys in the room that are here tonight. Jesse on the left there, he's the one that puts down the yellow paint. He's on the left, and Brandon's on the right. He puts down the white paint, and they do a bang-up job for us. And I'd also like to thank Gary Guthrie, Brandon, of course, Dan Dust, and Kelly Kirkpatrick. They're the people behind the scenes that get this job done. Any questions?
How often do you have to do it?
We do it every year, twice a year.
Twice a year?
Twice, yes. I've been here for 4 years, and we've put 8 coats of paint on that I'm aware of. And Jesse's been here about a year longer than me, so 10 coats of paint in 5 years. And it does wear off, obviously.
It's mainly for reflectivity. The beads at night, I mean, at daytime, you can see the lines, they're really easy to see, you know, when there's no weather there, but at night, you know, your headlights need to reflect off the glass beads. And over time, vehicle wear and tear, going over these lines, that reflectivity will go away, and then you won't be able to see the lines at night.
Here's a video I'd like to play. This is the paint. You can see Brandon on the right looking over down at his white paint. You can see Jesse on the left. And you look closely at that paint gun, you can see the beads coming out. We'll switch over to a little bit closer shot of that particular carriage, or actually the yellow carriage on the next. Here we go. This is the yellow, and you see that if you look closely, you'll see the beads right there that are going into that paint. The paint first, the beads second. And then, of course, there's our truck that we have that leads the way. We're not using that so much anymore. It's really important when we're going into big intersections to have that. And then we have our follow truck, or our shadow truck, that helps buy time for us to help the paint dry as we're moving along. And here's what happens whenever people just won't. Just give us a minute. So. Any questions?
Well, I want to thank you and your staff. I think you're doing a fine job keeping the streets striped. I know I've been city manager a while now, and early on before we got this machine, I used to get several complaints over a long enough period of time about I can't see the road, why don't you stripe the streets? I never get those anymore, so I hope you guys don't either, and that's a testament to the folks that are getting it done with that new truck, so we appreciate that.
Yeah. Next time we can talk about what we do in the wintertime. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Okay, with that being said, we'll adjourn, and we'll start our regular meeting at 6:30.